Hey, Justin Chamness here, and at special request, I want to dive right into my proprietary lease option agreement. Now, normally I use this for assignment or wholesale lease options, which means I'm going to assign my position in the agreement over to a tenant buyer for a big check and walk away. But you can also use the same agreement that I'm going to show you here how to fill out. If you want to do sandwiches, it's all going to be okay, but let's get into the details because it's important to understand how to fill this out. Now, I'll give you a big hot tip now. A lot of students of mine, they have struggled because they have avoided the agreement. Oh, it's so scary. Don't be scared. I always tell people in the first session that we have as a student and me coaching them is they need to get into this agreement and read it and reread it until they can figure out how to fill it out and feel comfortable with it, because let's be honest, the goal is to know how to fill this out and to get a homeowner to fill it out with you and sign it, right? That's when you get a deal, is when you get the homeowner to sign it. So if you're a student that avoids this agreement for 2, 3, 4 months into the coaching program because you're scared of agreements and you're not a lawyer, hey, I'm not a lawyer either, never have been, never even played one on TV, then you're going to struggle because you don't really know the end goal is to get this thing filled out. So let's talk about filling this out. I'm going to share screens right now and I'm going to dive into my proprietary lease option agreement. And you can see right here, it shows example lease purchase packet full 2025. Now, I'm probably not going to go through this entire thing in massive detail, but we're going to go through a lot of it in detail. This first page is just my disclaimer. You see, it says delete all the comments in yellow. Delete this entire page. Do not include this page if you plan on using this template or modifying it for your own purposes. This is my disclaimer. You would simply come in here, highlight this, and hit delete. Now, here's where the actual packet starts, and this is what I'm sending to the homeowner. You can see it starts with a cover letter. The cover letter here is just a real nice, simple letter. It has the date at the top, Dear Mr. Homeowner. If you don't know the name, you should probably find out. But Dear Mr. Homeowner, thank you for speaking with me on the phone earlier today. Based on our conversation, here is my formal real estate lease with option to purchase offer. And then the property's address goes there. Purchase price within how many months are you going to do this lease purchase? If it's a 24-month or 12-month or 36 or 60, whatever it is, how many months you're going to make the offer, you're going to put that number right there, 60 months. And then the purchase price goes here. The purchase price within 36 months, for example, is $299,999. Okay, just for example, monthly rent until then. So see, now this is the rent during the term of 36 months. Let's say, for example, let's say, for example, that is $2,499 a month. Now here we have a line that you may delete, okay? This, I say you may delete because this is the total cash down payment going to the seller up front. Now this is what is called, and I need you to really, really catch this. If I'm talking about down payment going to the homeowner, really what I'm talking about is I'm talking about option fee. Now we're going to talk later in this document about assignment fee, and there is a difference. Option fee is money going to the homeowner to option the property. Okay, so you're purchasing the option to buy the property during the lease term with this down payment money. That is called an option fee. Later, we're going to talk about an assignment fee, and that's the assignment fee that you're going to be charging your tenant buyer to assign your position over to them. So don't get the two confused. Now, I know there's other people, other coaches that have different setups and all of this. I do mine this way because it makes it very clear that there is an option fee going to the seller, and then there is an assignment fee that's coming to me as the investor to move out of the way and place the tenant buyer and the seller together in this beautiful, beautiful matchmaking marriage. Okay. So if you have not talked about option fee with the homeowner, you may not want to have this included in the letter. You may not want to, or maybe you do want to volunteer and give them $1,000 or 1,500 or 500 or maybe 100. It depends on how motivated your seller is, but this is the money going up front to the homeowner. Now you might be saying, well, hey man, does that mean I got to put money in the seller's pocket? Is this going to cost money? No, you're going to wait until you collect your assignment fee, and then you're actually going to have that tenant buyer pay both the option fee and the assignment fee at the same time. All right, so this is the option fee going to the seller, and we'll talk about the assignment fee going to you later in the document. Now you can see the letter continues, and it has some real nice propaganda here about what a lease purchase offer means, and it has some bullet point benefits to the seller. Now, if you don't know these, you should actually know these, because these all will come in handy when you're on the phone with a homeowner and he has questions. Now, Mr. Homeowner, the offer I'm making you today is your full fair price, no repairs. This is an as-is offer, no buyer contingencies where you got to fix this or fix that or do this or do that. You're not going to have to maintain the property while the tenant buyer is living there. You will remain in the driver's seat on the deeds. You see, these are all PowerPoints, okay? You see, there's 7 points here, because I believe that every good salesperson and real estate investor ought to have a great sales 6-shooter gun. And in that 6-shooter gun, you should have one extra bullet, that 7th silver bullet. Most of all, you're getting a high quality tenant who wants to buy your property, because every for sale by owner wants someone to buy their property at some point. So now you'll replace the yellow down here with your name, your phone, and your email. Now we're going to slide down, and there's step 1, 2, and 3. You're going to put your phone number here where the yellow highlight is. You're going to delete the highlight, replace it with your phone number. Mr. Homeowner, I look forward to speaking with you about the things that need to be explained or changed in this agreement, okay? Because this is going to be negotiated. It's not going to be accepted just plain as is every time you send it out. So be prepared, and this is actually setting up the homeowner to believe that you're flexible enough to listen to his wishes and his opinions about things, and to be willing to change things in the agreement before it gets signed. Step 2, once the agreement is approved, signed, you'll start showing the property to your pre-qualified list of tenant buyers, or you might find new ones if necessary. Step 3, Mr. Homeowner, please remember you'll be given a chance to review the tenant buyer, and if you approve, if you give the tenant buyer that I provide to you up front here as an assignee, okay, because that's what they are. If they give you the thumbs up or the thumbs down, you're going to be okay with that. All right, so you're going to let them be a part of this process. The next page is the basic real estate lease agreement. You're going to fill in today's date here. You're going to delete this yellow wording. You don't need it to say today's date. You just need to put today's date there. You need to put the seller or the landlord's name. This is whoever's on the deed. You are now the tenant, okay? And or assigns. See, because you're planning on maybe assigning this. If you're not sandwiching it, you're going to assign it. So you're going to fill in this agreement here with your name, because it includes you, and it also includes your assignee or your tenant buyer. Concerning the property address, and then you have the blank here for the property address. Now, special notes. There is an intention that you have to sublet or assign, which sublet would mean sandwich. Assign would mean wholesale lease option. Okay, so you have here in this document the ability to do either one. This is setting that up with the homeowner. Only the tenant and your name goes here. Okay, you are, remember, the tenant buyer and or assigns. Only the tenant, okay, not your assignee, only you, so you put your name there, may sublet or assign any interest in the premises with the consent of the seller landlord. So again, don't write your name and or assigns. You just put your name here, because you don't want your tenant buyer assigning his position away and getting this thing all messy. Number 2, permission to market to new tenant buyers. All right, you don't have to fill in anything there. If no sublet or assignee tenant buyer is found, this is number 3. This is an expiration date. This is your walk away. This is the drop dead date. Today is September 3rd. I might choose November 1st. Okay, something close to maybe 60 days out, maybe. Perhaps this gives me time to find a tenant buyer. If the tenant buyer, that's you, does not identify a sublet to sandwich with or an assignee, a tenant buyer to assign to by, let's say, 60 days from now, November 1st, delete the highlights here, then this agreement will expire and be canceled. You see how this is now letting you off the hook if you have failed at finding a tenant buyer, or if you have failed at finding a tenant buyer and renegotiating with the homeowner a deal that's proper matchmaking for them both. Okay. Number 4, special note, new lease or replacement of lease. So in other words, when the tenant buyer that you find is put in place here, if the homeowner wants to have a special lease agreement between him and your assignee tenant buyer, then you'll accommodate that. That's perfectly acceptable. Okay, now let's get down here to the general lease terms. Let's just talk about, because this is general lease terms and we've all read a lease agreement before. Hopefully, if you haven't, spend time reading it. All right, it's really simple, boilerplate, normal, general lease terms. Okay, nothing exciting here. All right, leasing the premises, number 2. You're going to put the address of the property here. Again, delete the highlights. Lease term, remember 36 months was our example. The lease term will begin on. You're going to use the same date that you used up here. If no sublet is found, usually I use the same exact date. Okay, the lease term will begin on that date. All right, so like I said, November 1st, because today's September 3rd, so it's about 60 days out. So, and it will terminate, again, this is 36 months later. Okay, so it would be November 1st, 2024, for example, and then it would be October 31st, 2027. Okay, I think I did my math right there in my head. All right, so you see how this is setting up what the actual dates are for the 36 months. Okay, let's slide down. Number 5 has some blanks we need to fill out. Lease payments. How much is the monthly rent? We said $2,499 a month. You're going to put that amount there. All right, lease payments shall be made to the seller's address. Okay, this is where the tenant buyer can mail a payment to the homeowner. All right, you see how you're no longer going to be in the middle here. If you were sandwiching this, you might not fill it out quite that way. If you're assigning it, then you want to put the homeowner, his address here, or whatever his contact information may be. All right, let's slide down. You can see it's boilerplate. All right, HOA fees. Here we go. Are there any HOA fees? How much is that dollar amount per month? Okay, it may not be anything. You may put 0 here in 0 months. Okay, you may just delete this entire sentence. Okay, or you may end up having to put $100 every 3 months. Okay, I don't know what the homeowner's fees are. If there are any, you'll have to ask the homeowner and put that information there. Okay, but here it is. You're going to be paying rent plus the homeowner's fees, homeowners association's fees. Okay, now let's slide down. Let's go here. Maintenance. You might edit this a little bit here to make it something different if that's what the homeowner wants, but I like the way that it's answered right there. Utilities and services, taxes, sellers, landlords, inability to supply, or blah, blah. Eminent domain. See, this is all just legal mumbo jumbo. I'm not an attorney, but it's all stuff that you find in pretty much every lease agreement. Cumulative rights. I don't even know what that means, but it's in there. Non-sufficient funds. There's a $75, okay, $75 charge for bouncing a check or not paying the rent with good funds. Okay, you want to be careful here and don't change that to something crazy high because you might be breaking some laws. All right, so keep it at least $75 or less. All right, now remodeling or structural improvements. Nothing needs to be changed here. 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. Oh, here we go. Signatures. Seller, landlord, that's the homeowner. And here's where you, the investor, signs. Okay. And remember, you're going to assign your position over to your assignee, tenant buyer. All right. So that's why you're going to assign, you're going to assign. So that's why it's okay for you to go ahead and put your signature here. Okay. I like to put my signature down as Justin Chamness for Virtual Property Projects LLC. Okay, that's some wisdom for you there. Justin Chamness for Virtual Property Projects LLC. See, so it's my LLC doing it. Okay, which means up here at the top when I put my name down as the tenant, I'm doing Virtual Property Projects LLC, or I'm doing Justin Chamness on behalf of, okay, Virtual Property Projects LLC. All right, so that's how you do it in an LLC if you want to do it that way. Now, you don't have to because you're going to sign your deal and walk away anyway. Who cares? That's my personal opinion, but I'm not an attorney. Don't take my advice. All right, the next section after they sign that rental section is the slide down here, and we have the option to purchase section. All right, so let's talk about where the blanks are. Granted option to purchase. The tenant buyer, remember that's you, upon fulfilling the lease agreement terms, has the option to purchase the property for, and here's the purchase price of the property, $299,999. That was the example. All right, number 3, and remember you're going to assign this away. So the tenant buyer is going to become your assignee when you assign it. All right, so for now though, you're the tenant buyer. Number 3, option to purchase term. Here's that word, option to purchase. The option to purchase is valid for 36 months. That was our example. Beginning on, and remember, here's the same dates, November 1st, 2024, and ending on October 31st, 2027. Okay? All the same dates as paragraph 3 in the lease section. Now, you want to delete that, but that's just a little clue on how to fill that out. Non-refundable option consideration. Here's that down payment money we were talking about going to the seller. It's option money, option consideration. It's option fee. The tenant buyer must pay a non-refundable option consideration of blank amount. How much is going to them? Let's call it $4,995. Let's just call it a straight $5,000. That's what's going to the seller. Okay. I'm going to have my assignee pay this and my assignment fee. So my assignee tenant buyer is going to pay this option fee as well as pay my assignment fee. That's right. They are going to make 2 wire transfers. One for $5,000. Here we go. I'd put $5,000 right here. That's going to the seller, and they're going to make a second wire transfer for my assignment fee of $10,000. Let's just say that's an example. So yes, assignment fee comes to me. Option fee goes to the seller. Okay. Now think about it until you get it. Once you get it, it's like riding a bicycle. You'll never forget it. Number 5, closing cost discount. If the tenant buyer timely executes the option to purchase and complies with the lease agreement, the seller will contribute how much money towards closing costs? I've had sellers say, I want to put $5,000 there. Some people are very generous. I've had some sellers say 0. I always put 0 here until they tell me to change that. All right, that's just my opinion. Number 6, intention to sublet or assign. Again, we're letting them know that we are going to sublet or assign this agreement. So here only the tenant buyer, and that is you, okay, may sublet or assign any interest in the premises with the consent of the landlord. So again, they're going to have the ability to give you the thumbs up or thumbs down. Number 7, don't need to do anything. Number 8, If no subletter assignee tenant buyer is found, again, the drop dead date, the walk away, the get out of jail free card date. All right. Again, I like to do the same date as the start date of the lease. So if I haven't found anybody by November 1st in this example, then I'm going to be able to just drop this and walk away because this agreement will expire and be canceled. Number 9, don't need to do anything. Number 10, nothing. 11, nothing. 12, nothing. Oh, wait a minute. 12, we do have something. The closing will be handled by, is there a title company, an escrow company? Is there some professional that the seller wants to involve? This is where you would put that information. If you do not know and they do not have a recommendation, then you want to put in here to be determined. Just write the words to be determined. Okay. All right. You could leave it blank, but I like to put in there to be determined. Okay, let's slide down to the next blank. Number 18, governing law. Put the laws of the state of whatever the property is in. Alabama. Okay. Maybe Missouri. Maybe somewhere else, wherever the state's at, wherever that property is in existence. Put that there. All right, number 19, number 20, number 21, 22, 23. Time is of the essence. This is what is going to pressure your seller to make a decision. If they do not decide by 12 midnight, 48 hours from today, whatever that day is, put that there. So today is September 3rd. If they do not decide by 12 midnight on September 5th or 6th, then this offer becomes void. Okay, this is what keeps them from going, oh, well, I'm still thinking about it. I'm going to think about it for another year and a half, and then I'll get back with you. Okay, you see signature blocks down here. Signature blocks, and you are the tenant buyer still. Okay, let's slide down here now to the seller acknowledgments. I, and then the seller's name, on this, and this is today's date, okay, agree in writing to lease with an option to buy the property at, and then the property's address. 2, this is the tenant buyer, the investor, and or your assigns. Your assignee tenant buyer, okay, and or your assignee tenant buyer. This is based on the terms in the lease and option to purchase agreement, a copy of which is attached. In other words, this is all, these statements are based on what we just read in that document that we just went through, the general lease terms and the option to purchase. Number 1, and this is going to hit the highlights, and this is your cover your blank agreement. Basically, this is your, you know, I've made myself very clear about my intentions. Okay, your CYA letter, for example. Let's slide down here where you have to fill in number 12, monthly payments. This is how much the monthly payment is, $2,499 a month. That's what we are using as an example. Lease term, 36 months. Okay. Number 13, price agreement, option price. This is the purchase price, $299,999 in our agreement, in our example here. All right, slide down, and you can see there's really no other blanks to fill out other than the seller acknowledges that these are all true statements. And then you are the tenant buyer, and you will sign here. All right, so now you have completed the seller side portion of filling out this agreement. If you filled out this agreement this far, which is this is all that I'm sending to the homeowner. Okay. I'm not sending any more to the homeowner until after I get the tenant buyer lined up, and we're going to do the rest of the paperwork, which I'm going to show you now. Okay, so this is the entire package that you want to send to the homeowner to tie up the deal. Now let's dive into the rest when you find a tenant buyer, which is where we're going to talk about assignment fee. Okay, do you see assignment? Option to purchase with lease terms. Here's the homeowner name. Here's your name. You are the assignor. I want you to remember that you will always be the assignor. All right. If you memorize that, it'll make your life easier. If you know that the tenant buyer that you find and are assigning your position to, you're selling your position to for a check, they are always the assignee. Okay. Here's how I like to remember it. The employer is the boss, and the employee is the one that's working for me. Okay. Assignor is you, the boss, and assignee is your tenant buyer. Okay. And then the property address. All right. New tenant buyer acknowledgement. All right. So they're going to initial here that they've received copies of all of what we just went through. All right. And that's important. It's very important. It's a matter of legality. You got to share. If you can't assign a document that you didn't show them. Okay. Assignor, that's you, is assigning legal interest in the option to purchase with lease terms to your new tenant buyer for a profit. These monies are not refundable under any circumstance, and this assignment fee may or may not be considered a down payment by new tenant buyer's home loan lender. You have sought the advice, you have told them, this is the tenant buyer speaking, your assignee. I have sought the advice of a professional home loan lender and other legal and professional financial professionals to establish a workable plan for qualifying for a home loan during the time of the option to purchase. Okay, so there's some important disclosures there. Here is your marked up price. So let's say you have it under contract for $299,999. You mark up the property on Facebook Marketplace, you sell your contract and everything, including the property, for $315,000. That means you have $15,001 that you could possibly make on this property in assignment fee. Okay. Well, let's assume, let's just make it a little easier. Let's just say you have it under contract with the seller for $299,999 and you mark it up for your tenant buyer to 310. Okay, so let's just go with a nice easy 10. All right, this is your marked up price. The assignment fee due today. Now, this is the assignment fee due today. It is $10,000. How do I know that? Because you owe the seller $299,999 and you marked it up to 310, so the difference is 10,000. That's your assignment fee. Amount still owed to purchase the property is $299,999. Okay. Note, the lease and option agreement may still require a down payment or option fee paid to the seller in addition to this assignment fee. Still owed to the seller before move-in day would be what? What was our option fee that had to go to the seller? $5,000. So you see here that the tenant buyer is agreeing to pay your assignment fee of $10,000 and still cover the $5,000 to the seller as option fee. All right, so that means 2 wire transfers are going out. One, $5,000 to the seller, and a second one, that's option fee, and a second one going to you for assignment fee of $10,000. All right, you might have to rewind and watch this a couple of times, but when, like I said, you get it, it'll be like riding a bicycle. Agreed and accepted this day, today's date, and then you have signatures. Okay, if you've done this right, the seller will approve. You can show the seller and have them approve this, and if you've not done it right, then you might not have their approval, but you should. Okay, if you want to know more about dispositions, I do have a great dispositions course. I teach a lot about dispositions in that course, and then I have an ebook and all of that. You just schedule an appointment with me and let's talk. All right. Now, new tenant buyer assignee acknowledgments. Okay, this is the tenant buyer's disclosure. This is your CYA letter for the tenant buyer. property address, and then they're going to initial in all of these places. This is every which way that Justin has ever thought or ever been tried to have been screwed by a tenant buyer. You fill in these blanks, okay? Here it is. We, tenant buyer, assignee. See, this is your tenant buyer now. Name, John Doe and Jane Doe. Understand that we do not own the property and that it is owned by the seller. Okay. Assign the initial here. Okay. Assign or assigning for a profit. I understand the assign or, remember that's you, your name. Okay. Is assigning your legal interest in this property, in this lease and option to purchase agreement for a profit. If we understand that the option, we understand that the option to purchase fee is non-refundable and may or may not be considered as a down payment by my future home loan lender. They've been advised to go seek counsel. They've been advised that the house needs to be appraised at some point. We can't guarantee what that appraisal will be. They need to be initialing here that they've been advised to do all the due diligence that they can come up with. They need to initial here that they're going to have to take care of the utilities. They need to initial here that they need to keep the lease in good shape if they plan on buying the property. Can't default on the lease and still buy the house. They need to initial here that the assignor is not, that's you, you're not the owner, you're not a broker or a realtor, and that your name goes here. You're not an owner of the property, a licensed real estate agent, or a broker. Okay? You're just selling your interest for a profit. Again, they initial here. Again, they initial here. And then they initial. See, there's quite a few disclosures here. And then acknowledge this day right here. Okay, now that's when you're going to, and that is the end of the actual entire packet. So that covers, the first 12 pages covers the seller's agreement with you. And then 13 through 17 covers the tenant buyer that you're assigning to when you go to put them and you make the marriage. So here's the beauty of making wholesale lease options work is you're a matchmaker. First, you get a relationship with the seller, and then you get a relationship with a tenant buyer, and then you marry the two together. And this paperwork is how you do it. Now, one thing I want to reemphasize here is that I don't show all of the tenant buyer side paperwork to the seller up front. There's no need to. I just deal with pages 1 through 12 with the seller. And then when I do have a tenant buyer ready to go and I make a match verbally, I will then bring in pages 13 through 17 to tie in the tenant buyer. When I do that, that tenant buyer will agree to pay my assignment fee, in this example, $10,000. And that puts them in position to fulfill my side of the agreement here with the seller, which still requires a $5,000 down payment option fee. So there we go. There are going to be two payments that the seller, two payments the tenant buyer that I'm assigning to is going to make. One to the seller for option fee of $5,000 in this example, and the second one for the assignment fee to me. That's my paycheck. So you see how it's very cut and dried here. It's very clear that they're paying me an assignment fee and then they're paying the seller an option fee. So in other people's contracts, you'll find, if you've ever seen them or ever do see them, you'll see that a lot of times the tenant buyer will pay you an assignment fee of $15,000 and then you'll go ahead and pay the option fee for them. I don't do that. And the reason I don't do that is because I like it to be very clear on paper that I just got the assignment fee. They stepped in and paid the option fee, which linked them together with the seller. It's very clear. The option fee is to the seller. The assignment fee is to me. I hope this is very helpful for you. Now, if you're using Leads Reacher, which is the program that I use to get leads, it's actually quite even more simple to fill out this agreement. And I'm going to spend about the next 3 minutes showing you how to do that. Okay. I think I will. Let me see if I got a dummy contact in here I can use. I will just use, yes, I'll use this contact right here. Okay, so I'm going to share screens again and show you here. As I talk to the homeowner, I'm going to put in their name. I'm going to have their email address. I'm going to slide down here in general info, and I'm going to put in the address of the property, the city, the state, the postal code, all of that good information. And then when I'm ready to actually do a contract and send it to the homeowner, I'm going to come over here to payments in the main menu, and I'm going to click payments. And then I'm going to come up here to documents and contracts. I'm going to click templates. You can see I've got lots of templates for lots of different strategies here. But the very first one here on the top for me is lease purchase agreement LR. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll click that. And then what I'll do is once it opens is there's a button right here at the top right hand corner that says use template. And I'll use this template. And what that does is that creates a document that I can now modify for my tenant. For my seller. Okay. You can also do this for a tenant too. But then I'm going to put in the address and let's just call it 123 Apple Cart Way. And that way now I kind of know what document it is. Okay. So in order to get this all filled out properly, I'm going to basically go back to my contact where my seller is. Okay, and let's see if I can pull that up here and finish this out. All right, so you can see if I slide down, I've already filled in all the general information like the address and the name and all of that good stuff. There's options here, and if I slide down and I find the option, it says shut up money lease option agreement, I'll click this here. All I have to do is fill in the purchase price. Okay. Let's just say let's just keep with the example, 299,999. Seller's credit to help the tenant buyer. Remember, this was those closing costs. Let's just say it was 0. Seller's monthly lease. Remember, he wanted $2,499. Okay. The length of the term, remember that was in our example 36 months. The HOA payment, let's just assume there wasn't any, and there wasn't any monthly frequency on a homeowners association dues because there wasn't any on this particular deal. If there was, I would just put the payment amount there. Let's say 300 every month, 1 month or 3 months, whatever. I just put 1 or 3. Payment late fee amount. Okay. Remember, I said keep it at 75 or lower. So let's just put 75 there. Start date for lease option. Remember, this was going to be November 1st, 2024. End date for lease options. So we're going to go over here and like I said before, we're going to go over here to the October 31st, 2027. And we're going to click that. There we go. So now we got those dates in there. Seller's down payment requirement. Remember we said $5,000. So wholesaler's expiration date. This was that get out of jail date. This was the walkaway date. So like I said before, I'm just going to select the same date as the start date, which is November 1st, 2024 in this case. Seller's preferred title company. Don't know. So I'm going to put to be determined. Wholesaler's offer requires an answer. This is my, hey, you need to answer me within 48 hours. Okay, so today is September the 3rd, so I'm just going to select here the 6th. I'm going to give them 2-3 days, and then we're going to call it quits because they're just blowing me around here, not giving me any answers. Okay, when I'm done, I'm going to click save. Okay, and there we go. I think we're saved now. We'll see. Oh no, it says I got to have a first name. So let's just do first name, Testy. That's right, Testerson. And the email is, I'll just throw in my email. Okay, now I'm going to hit save. Okay, we're saved. Now I'm going to go back to that agreement. And by clicking payments, and I'm going to go to documents and contracts. This time I'm not going to templates. I'm going to all documents and contracts. And you see there's my 123 Apple Cart Way. I'm going to go ahead and click that. I did not fill in 123 Apple Cart Way on my actual on that contact. I should have, just to show you that it will populate here. I'm going to pick the actual client, and you can see it's Testy Testerson, and boom, there it goes. It has filled out the entire agreement for me. You see 299, 36 months, 24.99 a month, $5,000 option fee, and all of these things are already filled out. So you can see how digitally this is very simple to fill out. Okay, you just go to the contact and you fill in the information, and after you've created the document from your template, and it will automatically populate everything, every detail, every blank for you. You don't have to do so much hard labor. But hopefully this video has been very helpful for you. I want to spend some time doing some other videos, talking about doing a subject to agreement and subject to with seller carryback and installment for deed or contract for deed, land contract. So keep your eye out looking for some more videos coming out about these things. Hopefully this was helpful for you. Check me out at justinchamness.com if you want to learn more. I'm the most laid back, easygoing, easy to work with, easy to get into the mentoring program guy there is, because I'm the real deal. I'm not just trying to get rich off of selling coaching. In fact, I can't get rich selling coaching because I don't charge enough. So I will hopefully see you later. We'll talk soon. And hey, happy hunting out there doing your lease options. We'll talk later. Bye bye.